Okay, we've got Light here in the top left. That's going to give us Zealot here on the top right. Real quick, we want to update everybody who's been following ASL over the past seasons. In the last season, we modified the way that we produce this show.
Yes.
And the goal of that is to get it out to you guys as fast as possible. The only thing that could slow us down at this point in time for this season is if one of us physically couldn't be there. But before, we were having subtitles built in. We were, all the graphics translated. And I know that some of you guys like that. For me personally, I like the way that feels and looks. But the truth is there were too many steps in the process that allowed the release of each episode to get slowed down. So what we've done now is we have Ziggy do the live translations, Dan stitches the audio together, and we get it right back to AfreecaTV. So that's why this is looking different than previous seasons.
Yeah. So last season we did do that change about halfway through. And so this is like this whole entire season, we're trying to get it out as quickly as we possibly humanly can. And of course, if there are any things like sound balancing and whatnot, please do leave some comments. Let me know specifically, since I'm kind of doing the production aspect here. And yeah, we'll get it fixed right away.
Yeah. And so we just want to let you guys know, in case you're wondering, the majority of the feedback has been that it's better to just get it out more quickly while still having the interviews translated. So that's what we're going for, just so you guys know.
Yep.
And now we can actually jump into this game.
Yeah. All right. So they are horizontal spawns. That's going to make Mutalisk Harassment a lot stronger for Zealot because it's a very short travel distance, and his mutas will naturally rally into a place they can't be hit on the way, nor when they're waiting to be tagged in. And Light going for just a nice little wall in there. It does have holes and everything, but that type of wall will make it so that if you make a reasonable amount of Marines, you don't really need a bunker or anything like that, and that'll help him to optimize his build a bit more.
It does feel like you're awfully close together here if you're both sharing the top. The very center expansion at 12 o'clock, just a little bit below the actual top of the map, doesn't seem like it's necessarily a good spot to take. I don't know if either side's really interested in that. But do you feel like there's pressure play? Obviously, Mutas can hit early, but I mean, could Terran try to do some kind of a timing push? Or we already see Marines moving out on the map now.
Well, there's always things like the Turax Academy push. I gotta say, I don't know if that's something that... Well, he's got a wall, so it kind of will work. And you see he's rallying some Marines right now. He's just checking to see, are you making the 4 lings that you should make? And there they are. And as he sees those, he'll turn those Marines around. Not really able to do very much against that. And look at that. Even a creep colony going up. Isn't that interesting? And now 6 lings out. So... yeah, I mean, this play looks really weird. Okay, he actually canceled out that creep colony.
Yeah.
So I think maybe his overlord saw the Marines and he was just playing super safe there for a moment. But yeah, I don't think that Light can really put any heavy pressure on and it doesn't look like he's going for a Turax Academy. He's gotten his gas before the Singrax. Oh God, and he's going for a Hydralisk Den?
That's crazy. So he is going to completely avoid a normal game. This is a very cheesy approach. If you ever see 2 hatcheries with a layer and a Hydra Den, that's going to be a Ling Lurker bust. Hey, man, this kind of makes sense. I mean, they are very close by land. I do think that if you were to take all the aspects of TVZ and measure each of these players out, Light is a better player. Oh, my God. Is this SCV going to be able to scout? It's got 2 drones at the ramp.
Yeah.
We probably can't get in there.
When you see those 2 drones, immediately you're thinking, wait a minute. What's up there?
What is going on here? He did
Yeah.
make the second extractor, which he doesn't need for this build. Probably just so that the optics of a Muta Rush are there.
Yeah, if he...
So now we're...
if he keeps the second extractor, that can only mean 2 things. Number one, it's super heavy lurker, so he's trying to blow up the bunkers despite being repaired. Or it could actually be the drop upgrade. You can You can do drops here. He doesn't really have an Overlord in great position for that right now, but I mean, let's see. He did get the Sang of Gas. He is mining from it.
I'm not as familiar with the drop play. That's interesting you said that. I mean, I'm aware, obviously, anytime you get a layer, you could get drop. I'm more used to the kind of Booga Booga Zergling lurker bust that I think we've all seen in TVZ. He does scan, and you know what's funny? He scans and sees that the drones are still mining gas. Now, again, he didn't see Hydras. So this could still maybe look like Mutas, actually. Oh, okay, he gets the second scan out. Now, keep in mind, he just burned through his 2 scans.
Yes.
He does not have a bunker right now. He does not have turrets to detect. I mean, I'm getting a little worried here for Light.
This is worrisome. He's got to move his Marine Medic out front because he has to slow the lurkers. Yeah, exactly as you said. There's no detection. It looks like he's already started range, which is incredibly important. Lurkers outrange Marines and bunkers unless they have the range upgrade. So you need to get that. A ton of lurkers getting ready to come in here.
Okay, he's moving in. Now, the Marines are intentionally kept a little bit far out so he can kind of stagger walk back, basically making the lurkers fight for every foot of territory as they advance. 2 bunkers are done. Turret is just now finishing. So the question is, can he maybe use drop play if that's what's going to be coming here to go inside the main? Because I don't know that he can actually break this position.
Well, I think his plan is the mass lurker. Like, if you look at how many Hydras he's making, if you run up with like 10 lurkers, you one-shot all the SCVs on the bunker, and then it's like 2 or 3 shots to kill the bunker total. And things just start to explode. You can see that Light has realized what's going on. He sees that there is a second gas. Like, he already saw that. He sees a ton of lurkers. And, dude, the way the Overlords are moving forward, I think it might be drop as well.
Yeah, or maybe he wants to make it look like it's drop. That's also possible, too. If you could even just get a couple of Marines to go back in the main. Okay, speed is done. So there is definitely going to be drops inbound here. You would never get speed without also getting drop. This is wild, man. There's 5 bunkers. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What about the main? Oh, now these aren't actually filled.
Oh my god, he's trying to fake him. And look at this.
Empty.
He unloads the Marines. He's stimming towards that main base. And, dude, here comes the push. Amazing play here from Zealot. Now, there are a ton of bunkers, so maybe Light just holds this anyways. That Firebat being worth its weight in gold. The Lurkers having a hard time against 5 bunkers, though.
Wow. Yeah, not often you see a Firebat firing from a bunker and hitting Lurkers, but I guess we've seen it all here. It would seem like mathematically you couldn't have gotten both drop and Overlord speed. Maybe you could. I'm not totally clear on this, but that could have also been a tell that they came in that fast. At this point in time, I think Light is probably feeling extremely confident. There's no third base for Zealot. There's no third hatchery at all. Like, not even a macro hatch, man.
Yeah, this is very rough for Zealot, but he has a lot of lurkers out in the front. He lost a lot, unfortunately, and it does look like he's just rushing right now towards Defiler to try to finish this push off. And if he does get a Dark Storm in that natural, that's the most surefire way to end a Terran versus Zerg game, right? Is you get the Dark Storm down in the nat, and Terran has to wait forever to clear that.
Right, he's gonna have to just lean into that aggression. +1 is done over here. That Hive, I mean, it's a rough game here. I like the Wraith, by the way. That didn't even occur to me that he could do that. But yeah, I guess if you're going that hard into just Ling Lurker, the Wraith can really drive these Overlords back. He's going to have to use a slow Hydralisk to try to fight and defend these Overlords. But, the reality is the most important part of this game already happened. The Lurker bust, didn't work. And so now it's just going to be a matter of Light continuing on with development and either Zealot forcing a win with Dark Swarm or getting overpowered here by a standard healthy Terran push.
Well, it's really just going to come down to the Defiler and the running around of Zealot, because Light sees everything that's going on. This is why you make the Wraith, is you can chase away Overlords, you can scout the entire map, because you need those scans, right? Like, you need those to be able to push the Lurkers back. Now, he does have a couple siege tanks. There are a lot of Lurkers and Lings here. So as soon as that Science Vessel is out, he needs to push this back. You cannot let a Dark Swarm go up near your base.
Yeah, he's got a lot of bio here. The tanks, they do outrange Lurkers if the Lurkers are burrowed. So we can see The Zerg just shuffling these lurkers back a little bit. More overlords are going to come in over here. He could have, by the way, gotten dropped later on. You could, if this big push comes out, try to do something like that. Again, I feel like this game is almost finished, though.
Yeah, this is looking really, really terrible. The Wraith actually doing a lot as well, and he's going to kill every lurker here. Fantastically done by Light. GG is called, and that,
wow.
you know, not...
Okay, we've got both players hugging the top of the map again. Bisu in the top right and C in the top left.
Yeah.
Before we...
Oh, go ahead, Taste.
Sorry. I was just going to say, guys, real quick here. If you love ASL, if you love Artosis and me, you love StarCraft, a great way to support our mission here is to go to the Patreon. Patreon.com/ASL English. We would not be able to do this without you guys. So if you're in a position financially where you can support us, we would love it. Love you for it.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, to everyone who has been supporting now for years on ASL. It feels so great to know that we get like these 2 amazing seasons. The production still off the hook. The players are like playing as hard as ever, honestly. Like these guys are all grinding. They stream a lot. They're playing all the tournaments, and this is the king amongst all the tournaments.
Yeah, so the support's appreciated, guys. We love you guys. This matchup,
yeah,
with Bisu versus C. I mean, I can't imagine C winning here in like a macro game.
Yeah,
you know, taking a late third base and powering up. I don't think there's any one specific thing Bisu needs to do or prepare for. I think he just has to play a solid game, and he should come out on top.
Yeah. One thing going in C's favor would be that it is horizontal spawns. The one thing that I have really noticed for this map is if you play Terran vs. Protoss against a cross-spawn Protoss, the center is so open, it's almost impossible to push. There's like 4 tiny doodads in the center. Normally, we don't have maps this open. This map, I think, is reminding a lot of people of Circuit Breakers because of how open it is, the tile set, sure. the horizontal mains facing each other, right? So it kind of does play like that, where you get to the center of the map and it's hard. But here, C could possibly do like a push that kind of hugs the top, you know, maybe take that 12 o'clock base on the way. And that does open up some better opportunities for C to maybe be able to fight Bisu here if he has like a very strong timing push.
We were talking a little bit before this game started about the golden era of, like as we call it, of StarCraft, where, you know, you had Bisu and Jaedong on top. One thing that's interesting, people might not realize, but like the name power, the brand recognition that Bisu or Jaedong has is so powerful. Like, one of the best things that could happen for ASL is if we got one of those guys in the finals.
Oh, yes.
We would probably get our viewership way higher than ever.
Yes, 100%.
It's wild. Like, when I'll give you guys an example, too. We had in StarCraft 2 way back a BlizzCon finals, World Finals. It was SOS versus Jaedong. And, like, everybody knew, okay, if Jaedong wins, this is going to be so good for StarCraft 2 because of the sheer brand power he has. Because he's such a big deal. He's so beloved. Obviously, SOS did win that, but it's kind of the same thing here with StarCraft 1. If we could ever get a finals like with Bisu and Jaedong, or Bisu versus Jaedong, it would probably be the most watched thing in StarCraft that we've had in years and years.
You're definitely right about that. And that would be beyond hype. Speaking of hype, though, we have a proxy robo build here against a gasless expansion from C. This is really strong, and if you don't know it's coming, man, you might be in some trouble. Like, you have to play very carefully here. Oh my god, he's going to scout it tasteless. Oh. Great
scout. This is a lot easier to manage if you scout it. And that's a really early scout. Like, the robo's halfway done. You know, you're far along enough that it's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And canceling's not really an option. So there's 2 variations of this build that Protoss can do. One is where they push the Reaver onto the low ground, and blow up the bunker. The other is you get a shuttle and start to do you ferry units into the main.
Yeah.
You get a Reaver just slightly later.
Yeah. Either way, the counter is the same for Terran. You have to get missile turrets, you have to make more Marines, and you have to get siege mode. That is basically it. You are scrambling to defend. You do need a second bunker at your natural because you're not going to have siege mode in time to save your first bunker. Right. So 100% we're going to have to see another bunker there. And notice how he's put Marines in the main. The Marines are in the main in case he gets that shuttle. If you start shuttling goons up there, you're going to lose if you don't have extra Marines there to fight them off.
Yeah. We don't see the Reaver out. We don't see the shuttle out. I think it's going to be a slow push with the Reaver. He does not have that second bunker, Artosis.
No, he does not have that.
It's making me a little bit more worried.
Yeah.
Now, if he can get okay, there is a shuttle first. All right. So that means we have a little bit of downtime before that Reaver can come. I think that C actually can hold this, man.
Yes. This looks really good for him so far. He has, like, the perfect counter against it. He put out the 2 missile turrets immediately. He has a lot of Marines in his main. He's already working on siege mode. And like you said, this is a little bit slower Reaver because he wanted to get that shuttle. So suddenly, Bisu has put all of his eggs in this, like, one base all-in basket. And I tell you what, if he does not deal some significant damage, it is hard for me to believe that C cannot kill him with, like, a 5-fact timing follow-up.
Yeah, you cut a lot of probes when you do this. So he's got the shuttle. It's 3 zealots on the low ground here. That's a lot of damage, but I think with the Scarab firing here, it should be just enough to tip the scale in his favor. He's going to go right towards the ramp. Use the C has done a really good job of splitting his Marines, but he should have had these Marines on the high ground here to protect this tank.
Well,
if you have one turret covering this and they can't get there, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, this is the most, like, disgusting greed from C. You and I were both talking about he needs a second bunker. He doesn't get broken if he has a second bunker. Simple as that. Yeah. 100% he holds. And instead, Bisu is getting so far ahead. That's it. GG. Now, that is one of the most outrageous incidents, I would say, of a player trying to cut corners. You're literally playing a one base all in. You have the fastest expansion that Terran can get. If you spend 100 minerals on a second bunker, the gateway units don't do anything, and you win the game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You just need one more turret by the tanks on the high ground, one more bunker.
Yep.
The Protoss will lose.
Yes.
I did learn something back there, though. It's interesting to see that he makes that many Zealots. I think he had no Dragoon range there. I think it's like 3 Dragoons, and then the rest is just Zealots. Didn't really expect this map to come back. I thought if this was going to come back, it would be like it'd have that idea, but a totally new one. But hey, I welcome the decision here from AfreecaTV. We're going to go into Troy now, help you guys understand how this weird map works as we go into the 3rd game here in Group A, Bisu versus Light. First person to survive, well, whoever survives this, I should say, will be going on to the round of 16. Okay, we've got Bisu in the top right, Light in cross spawns all the way down in the bottom left.
Yeah, and this might be the one map where you actually want cross spawns against Protoss, because it's going to be harder for them to put any pressure on. It does look like we're going to have some sort of forward, maybe even center gateway from Bisu. Like, Tesos, I gotta be honest, I didn't veto this map because I need to save vetoes for Dark Origin and Fighting Spirit, 2 of the worst maps ever made.
I know this trick. It's like you know that they're probably going to veto that map so that you don't have to. It's like you're using their veto.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I have been shocked that no one has gone double proxy gateway, because you will kill the assimilators.
Yeah.
And then it's like Terran has a window of maybe 4 or 5 minutes where they might be able to win the game, maybe, and that's it. And I think Bisu's going to do this here, but honestly, on the ladder, I haven't seen it. No one's even tried. It's so weird.
Well, you'll see it a lot now. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's an ASL. So, here, tag me in for a second. I want to try, if I can, try to explain these assimilators, because this is not something that's obvious to anybody. Even if you played a lot of StarCraft, and if you haven't seen this map before, you would not necessarily know that this feature of it. There's 2 neutral gas geysers. that doesn't look like it means anything, right? But if you kill, if those get destroyed, where the assimilator's not there, but the Vespian gas geysers there, the map becomes an island.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what Bisu's attempting to do is to come in here and destroy that, and then isolate Light into this position where Light is playing on an island map position, and Bisu has full range of all of the bases, and he's on a land map.
Yeah.
And obviously, any player that's stuck on an island is at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why we have a certain level of map symmetry. Sure, there have been maps made where it's like, oh, this guy starts on an island, but this guy starts with a bunch of open terrain. You would always want to have the open terrain and free reign of the map. So the probe is going to come down here and see this. And to make matters a little bit more alarming, the barracks is on the outside of that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the plan, to be able to maybe get a bunker up quickly, micro heavily here. But Light, I think he's already dead. I think we're watching a game that's already been decided by build orders. And Light just does not seem properly prepared here. Oh my god, he's going to lose that SCV. So more SCVs have to come. A lot of them drill up. The thing that he needs is a bunker. If he does not get a bunker up and soon, this game is going to end.
I love sending the one zealot through into the main, basically cause a lot of problems down there. This is going to allow the other zealots to come in here and punish each marine as it comes out. He's going to set up for a flank. He can try to sandwich these marines. He's going to whip around. SCV control very good, but again, every zealot hit on a marine is permanent damage. You're not going to have medics in this game, so it's really a strain on the Terran control-wise. You have to play basically perfectly.
Yeah.
And now there's 3 zealots here. I mean, 4 zealot hits will kill an SCV, and now we've got the 4th zealot coming in now, although it looks like 1 zealot is surrounded and killed off. I think you're probably right, Artosis. I think this game's done. Even the probe getting a kill.
No, this is just about it. It takes 3 Zealot hits to kill a Marine and 36 Marine hits to kill a Zealot. So when they get this many in your base, you have to have a perfect SimCity, and he simply doesn't have that. Not even going to go after the geysers. Bisu just going to straight up kill Light. GG.
Okay, we begin. It's going to be C in the top right and Zealot in the bottom right.
All right, so, you know, I don't really know what way C wants to play a Terran versus Zerg. There's like a lot of options. You know, historically, back when C was in his prime, he was like one of the strongest players in the Pro League. He didn't really do well in individual leagues, but definitely showed up for his team overall. And this was his best matchup. He was really fantastic at macroing SK Terran. That's the superpower that I remember from him. But Zealot is not a player that you can just macro against. Like, you have to have a very precise defense against Zealot. Oh, it's a translator.
There's Ziggy in the audience. He's the guy whose voice you hear when we have those interviews.
Yep.
He's been out in Korea for a couple of years now, getting a PhD in study of the Korean language. So
damn, PhD.
Really appreciate him helping us out. That's right.
Am I going to have to call him Dr. Ziggy?
Oh, yeah. We actually probably should call him that because I think he wouldn't like that. But
yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, C is a player that, like you were saying, Artosis, he showed up for Pro League a lot. I think this guy is maybe like top 3 most charismatic pro gamers in ASL. Would you say that's fair?
Absolutely.
One thing, you know, when you get pro gamer personalities, it's interesting. They're really all over the place. You'll meet people who are extremely shy, very antisocial, sometimes can't even make eye contact, all the way to extremely social. They're very gregarious.
Mm-hmm.
They want to, you know, have fun, go out, and you know, and C's definitely one of those players. It's no surprise he became a huge streamer when streaming took off in Korea.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. I remember when I first moved to Korea, I actually, on a lot of his days off, I got to go and have beers with him, and that was really fun. He's a super social, cool dude. And you know, again, like you said, no big surprise that he's become such a popular streamer. Taking a quick look at this game, first off, that is a fascinating wall-in. That is...
Yeah.
I'm actually getting shivers right now. I've literally never seen that. Because there's this thing where if you spawn in certain spots, your Marines pop out on the inside of a wall. Now, if you look at that, he actually can make it so his Marines have almost no surface area for Lings to attack. That is... I have to really think about that as like a wall that might be fantastic to use in certain positions like this. That is super, super, super cool. Also something
he's able to defend without a bunker, really, at least so far.
Yeah, I think it looks super neat. I'm looking at that. I'm actually getting chills because I'm like, oh, that is... he might have solved the best way to wall in a position like that. That looks so cool. But by the way, just for Zealot, I just want to throw this in there real quickly. I know a lot about Zealot's play. I've seen so many of his games. Like you, I've casted a lot of his games on my YouTube channel. And honestly, a bunch of the NA Zergs just copy his builds nowadays. But he has made this new build against Terran where he goes 9 Hatchery, 9 Pool, 9 Overlord. And, like, it's... You get a lot of larva very quickly, so it's kind of better against the 8 Raxes than a lot. And you can get your layer up very quickly with this as well.
Very interesting. By the way, the ramp that you go out of your base, it's like a... It goes up and then down. Is that correct? Is that the way that works? Okay. Then, is there a point on the ramp that you can stand and you are officially on the high ground? Do you know how that works?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So there is a little tiny strip of high ground there, and that's it. It's like you can like put a tank there or a Dragoon there or whatever, and it will be on high ground, which is like, yeah, that's the only high ground spots on this map are those double ramps. So it's more of a vision blocker than anything, but you can still utilize some high ground here as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting feature with this map.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, guys, for those of you that don't know, you do have a chance to miss when you fire up onto high ground.
Yeah.
From the low ground. So it's actually a pretty big deal to have anything on high ground when you're fighting something on the low ground.
Actually, I had a game the other day here, Tasteless, where I sieged 2 tanks on that high ground, and it was in range of cannons. I was like, shit! Ah! But then they killed all the cannons because the cannons missed so many shots. I was like, oh, sick! All right.
That's so funny.
Well, right now
we've got some rain.
Yeah, quite a move out
down here.
That's a. Let's just talk at the same time. Let's just both solo cast.
So let's just both. We're gonna. Oh, I mean, he should be fine versus this. He's got 2 sunken colonies. I don't think he needs a 3rd just yet. But this is something we see all the time in this matchup, is basically coming out and trying to force Lings or anything to defend.
And C has gone into a 3 racks play. He's got to get his turrets up, like, right now. That's really important. And look at where Zealot has taken his 3rd base. He's taken it at 9 o'clock, so that's incredibly hard to scout. And you only have so many scans, and you have to check text. So taking a base like that, it's actually in many ways against a build like C's safer than if, let's say, that you expanded to a regular 3rd base. Because there's no way C will check that and be able to send his Marines before the mutas are on the map.
Interesting. This SCV is going to be scouting. He's actually going to find the hidden base. That's pretty huge. I don't know what lurkers are like for Terran to deal with from a high ground, low ground to high ground to low ground ramp like this. I don't really have a relationship with these ramps yet, but is that just as easy for Zerg to defend as any other small entrance?
Yeah, you just put the lurkers back a little bit so that they're funneled down the ramp to attack. You know, it's just not a very wide ramp or anything, so you can't really utilize it in that way. But I don't think it'll go into lurker defense anyways. Like, Zealot putting a base down like that, I think this is going to be his standard Guardian Rush. And he is, like I mentioned before, actually the best Guardian Rusher in the whole world.
Yeah, it's cool to see him go for stuff like this, because we really don't have that many moments with Guardians. I guess I can think of like 1 or 2 games with Sulky that we've had that. But there have been eras of StarCraft and TVZ where the Guardian Rush was fairly common and pretty strong.
Yeah, and right now it is pretty darn good. And honestly, I don't like the way that C is playing this. He's way out front. He's playing a zoning game on the mutas. But you need to... Oh, this is huge, though. Hold on. He's running 2 Marines over to 9 o'clock. That is big. He's going to get minimum 3 drones And Zealot has to deal with that.
Yeah, and the fact that he's stopped production of the, at that base, that's huge. I mean, at the very moment that the hatchery finishes, they're need to get as much, droning up as possible to get that third gas coming in here. So that's a big play by C.
Yeah, that was super, super valuable for him. But he continues to kind of stay out front with his Marines. And, honestly, he's doing a good job picking off mutos between that and denying gas mining for quite some time at 9 o'clock. Those are two, very strong moves from C. C's putting out a good game.
Yeah, so far so good here. I will say that Zealot is doing a really good job at shaving these numbers down of Marines. We do have Valkyrie tech coming in here. We see the control tower being built along with the armory. Finally, we have a drone mining in that third gas. It's so important here. We haven't really gotten a shot of the main here. Do we know if it's going to be Guardian tech? We were talking about it earlier. Okay, yeah, it is. There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, the timing of the...
Maybe we just have... Yeah.
The timing of the Queen's Nest is what gives it away. It's it's the fastest hive by a minute. So when you scan and see that, you're already 99% sure what it's going to be, especially when it's Zealot, since he does this literally all the time on the ladder. But yeah, he's going to come in strong with these, but C's build looks almost perfect. He's only got one Stargate for Valkyries, so it's going to be incredibly important that he pushes as soon as he has his Valkyrie out.
You guys might have noticed there's a Hydralisk den, but there's no lurkers. The Hydra den is just to make it look like there could be lurker tech. It is worth it to sacrifice that one drone just to have, the possibility that that's going to be coming there. But you see the Valkyrie came out a little bit ago, chased those mutas away. We're going to have these Guardians pretty soon, but obviously Valkyries are basically the counter to anything mass air here. He's going to have to figure out how to get Scourge or something there to hit those Valkyries.
Yeah, well, this is part of what the Hydras do as well, is you target down those anti-air units. Sometimes Zealot will end up making a single Devourer as well to help out if there's a lot of air units. And look, we're not hitting critical mass for C. He has the double Valkyrie, which is nice, but the Hydras are actually here to help tank. And look at that, he does bring out some Scourge. The Valkyries are going to run away from that. C is doing a good job putting pressure on, but I don't think he actually has a big enough army here to hit what we have from Zealot.
Yeah, the Valkyrie's taking a little bit of damage. These Scourge no, they actually do. They managed to connect there. Is there enough in mass here to fight what's left over here for Terran? I mean, that's kind of the problem right now. These Guardians are coming along. Is C going to stim and try to get under? No. He's going to go ahead and back up. In fact, maybe even try to beeline over to the natural or somewhere else on the map. Guardians are a little bit like carriers in that sometimes it's better to try to fight where they are not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can really run away from them for a bit, so it's good that he pushed him so far back because it gives him a lot of time to make more units. It's really all about critical mass against this build. You have to have enough to just chomp through everything at once. So right now the Guardians pushing forward, the mutas microing heavily here as well. Up comes another Valkyrie. I thought it was going to be picked off, but no, C is doing a great job and eliminating these Guardians.
Yeah, it seems like Zealot's kind of fallen apart here. He's never quite been able to get the right number of units together to take any of these fights. Now we've got just a few Hydras on the ground, 3 Guardians in the back, but the Marines, they might just have enough muscle to overpower this entirely.
Yeah, this is kind of funny to see the siege tanks in there as well. And you can see now, look at this. The Devourer is doing a good job keeping that Valkyrie busy. And the tanks, weren't that useful. That's actually, people used to deal with Guardian rushes by utilizing siege tanks to kill the Hydras way back in 2007, 2008. So that's a very antiquated way to look at that. Not necessarily wrong, but nowadays people prefer 2 starports to have more Valkyries.
So at this point in time, Terran is able to slip through here. Again, no lurker defense, so the Marines can basically roam uncontested. The Guardians can try to deal with this, but they got to get there first. And now we've got a lot of workers being killed here. C is looking to be in great shape. And honestly, losing the third base, that can be fatal here.
This is so brutal. Just outrunning those Guardians, really using his mobility against the slowest composition Zerg has. And, Zealot will clear this little army, but the Marines are so replaceable. That third base is not. I think C is very close to just winning this game.
I do think, yeah, you're right. This game is probably almost over right now. Without a third base, and there's no real easy place to take a third base right now. The reason why the Zerg takes that base right over at 9 o'clock is it's an obscure location. The Terran might not scout it. Obviously, this game, the Terran did. But no, normally, if the game's going to go well for the Zerg, the Guardians would actually be pushing into the Terran. Right now, it's the other way around. The Guardians are morphing back at the natural as a defense. And so I would imagine that, if C just keeps the pressure on, there's not a whole lot that the Zerg can do.
Yeah, he's trying to mass up Guardians. Like, if he gets enough, maybe there's some way to chunk through the Marines really quickly from a good position. The thing is, with 3 Valkyries, like, you really have to take that seriously. I think he does have a Devourer. Yeah, he has a couple of them in there, so those will help out without a doubt. Notice how he is trying to target those down, but there's so many Marines, I'm not sure any of this really matters.
Yeah, it seems like the Marines alone can probably win this fight. The Valkyries are just trying to fight these Devourers. But yeah, I mean, things are just beginning to fall apart here. The Marines can be replenished so easily. I think that's it. Yep, GG. C wins that game and will now be going up against Light in the final match here of Group A.
Hey, man, I'm happy for C, but I do feel for Zealot. C showing that he can win a game at the ASL level, which is great, and I think he played a fantastic game. It was cool to see the tanks. I don't feel like they did that much, but it's cool to see that older style being mixed in. Zealot obviously frustrating.
A very careful game because his tournament life is on the line.
All right, we're going into Retro. Let's get this one started.
Okay, both players on the right side, Light on the bottom, C on the top. Now, the map is Retro. I feel like I liked this map more until I played it a lot. And
Yeah.
now I feel like I like it less and less. Like,
yes.
and that might say more about me and map itself, but I've had so many frustrating games on this map.
It's a frustrating map. I'm completely 100% on board with you with this entire assessment.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was the only person who had
No.
that take on it, where it looks in some ways structurally a lot like Fighting Spirit,
Yeah.
and that you have this third base that's kind of out of reach from anybody but you. Like, you can pretty easily take a third base, but the fact that these pathways to the third base take up so much of the map itself, and even if you listen to the older casts, I talked about how big and open the middle was. It's not as big as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like a, I don't know, is optical illusion the right word? It
Yeah.
looks like it's massive, but when you play, you realize it's a pretty tight and constricted area. So, you got to be very careful with your pathing. There's a lot of moments where you can you think you're sending stuff to their base through the middle, and they're going to go through the sides.
Sure.
In fact, if you right-click, for things to scout, they'll take the path on the bridges. They don't go through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this is just some stuff to point out. There's a lot of weird things on this map. I think TVT can be pretty punishing. Talk about center control being important. It's really important on this map.
Oh, yeah. Now, if someone gets in front of, like, no one goes all the way to the natural on this map, but if you can trap someone in their quadrant, you have a huge, huge advantage. It's so gangly trying to move a big Terran army around through the sides of the map, through those like third base locations, 12, 6, 3, and 9. Like, try moving 3 groups of tank vulture through there. It'll take you so long that your opponent can do anything they want in that time. So, battle for the center of the map is incredibly important. One thing to mention here is C is going for a barracks expand, the gasless expansion here, which is very, very fast, whereas Light is going for a factory expansion, but Light is going to scout C last. So when you scout them last, without a doubt, C is going to have a bit of an advantage here.
So the fact that C, fundamentally should just be a weaker player in TVT, right? He should just be a player that's going to have a little bit of a harder time with the tit-for-tat of TVT, of map control, of dropping, of trying to, pound them with vultures. If you're C, Artosis, and you're against a player like Light, how do you want to try to approach this game? Because Light just seems like he, anything you do to him, it's like water off a duck's back.
Well, I think here, as he's scouting what builds are going on, C's big decision is, does he want to do something high risk, high reward, or does he want to just utilize his economic advantage? Because he does have that economic advantage. Like, getting this expansion up this quickly is really, really good. That's actually really good by Light. Trading 2 Marines for 2 Marines here is better for the factory expander, because you have to remake those, which is going to slow your second factory for C. So Light already is kind of doing some things really well. I don't know what C's level of confidence is, what his plan is here. Like, does he want to go tank Wraith? Does he want to do something crazy like 2-port? Does he want to cut SCVs and go mass Vulture? There's a lot of options for C based on how confident he is or is not.
What exactly happens when you're both sharing the side of the map in TVT? Like, how does this end up working out? Is it ever good to try to take that middle base on the right, or is that like to be avoided? How does Terran player think about that?
Yeah,
retro.
The 3 o'clock should probably go towards C. It's a little bit closer to him, but it gets actually hard to hold because, like, let's say they both have their units in the center. Light can very quickly bring enough siege tanks to break a 4 or 5 siege tank defense at 3 o'clock, right? Like, you bring 12 tanks over there, and +2 isn't done, you will break through that type of defense, and C will have a hard time getting into position. So it's kind of like a tough base to defend and to take. Honestly, I feel like maybe just set that up as like a slight no man's land. You can't really let Light take it, but like taking it yourself could be dangerous. So I feel like C will want to take 12 o'clock as his third and just control the center of the map. But that could allow Light to maybe think about utilizing that position as well.
I like the Vultures coming in here and getting kills on the SCVs. It looks like there's only 1 Marine in there, and, the Vultures don't have to respect 1 Marine. When I was learning this game as a kid, I remember whenever I saw a bunker, I wouldn't engage with it at all because it's like such a beefy, tough building. Then when you realize it's just 1 Marine or 2 Marines at times, you're like, oh, you can just ignore it. It doesn't do that much damage, and you can still get in there and get the hits you need.
Yeah.
So good play there to get those SCV kills. I really like that for Light. Light's got his tank and Marines out. Did have a Wraith that was made. That's somewhere on the map. I'm not sure where right now. But I don't think he should be trying to move out on the map here. I mean, I'm looking at... C has that. I think I said Light had that. I think I flipped him in my head for a second, guys. Sorry. But, yeah, I think C has to be careful if he moves out on the map too much. There's going to be a lot of mines out here, a lot of traps that could be laid, where I think C could be punished.
Well, C here, if I had to guess, I think he's going to go to 5 factory really, really fast. I don't see an add-on going for the starport, so I think it's going to be 1 to 2 Wraiths to force Goliath to force scan, and then into 5 factories really quickly, trying to take some map dominance. I think that is the best way for him to play this. Like, you don't have to move out too quickly, but you can definitely get into those additional factories quickly. Especially considering you see the amount of damage he's already put down this Rax, and you can see Light fighting him for that, because Light doesn't want to lose his barracks. He wants to have the flexibility of adding factories when he wants.
I feel like I've seen a lot of games where if C's mismatched, he'll go for like mass factory on 2 bases. Even TVP even. A lot of really, like, if he's uncomfortable or he's not sure he's the favorite, he's going to rely on powering on 2 bases and trying to strong-arm the opponent in the middle of the game.
It's a good way to play. Oh my god, he goes 3 add-on. Okay, so we're starting to figure out what's going on in this game. This is a really interesting choice from C. So C basically went 2 Wraith, no add-on there, so no cloak or anything. He's just trying to force Goliaths, and now his entire aim is to get so many siege tanks that he can just make siege lines that can't be killed. That is what he's planning on here. 3 add-ons this early into the game. This is like, I hesitate to call it cheesy, but it kind of is in a way. It slows down your other factory adds immensely. It gets you out of any possibility of flying units for a while. It's going to slow your upgrades, and you're literally just making big siege lines. So, if Light sieges here, like where we see his units going up and just kind of does a light contain, we're not going to have enough units from C likely to break out.
Yeah, it's a kind of smart approach. You know, you make just a couple wraiths, and that does force them to make Goliaths. They have to respect that tech, excuse me. But then you end up with so many more tanks that you can get to these really punishing positions. We see one tank sniped already. Light goes ahead and returns the favor. So from Light's perspective, we need to see him keep his tanks alive for as long as possible. If he has some kind of screw up where he drops 3 tanks, get very good for C. He can really take advantage of the position.
C is playing really smart right now, like taking the center as quickly as possible with those tanks. Like this is the most crucial part of the game, is them jockeying for position in the center, because Light already saw that it's 3 add-ons. So Light will not miss a beat. He will make at least 2 factory add-ons non-stop with his tanks, where C is going for 3. So as long as Light maintains a reasonable siege tank count, he should be able to hold the center. So this is going to turn into like a very big, very long game quite quickly.
Yeah, we're already seeing the lines get drawn out here. And let's just say, if we could like imagine fast forwarding this game, that these positions are not going to be broken, and they might not be broken for a while. Most important bases will now become center right and the center left, because there's ambiguity about who gets those. Mm-hmm. Like we just now see C setting up over here. For instance, 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, those bases are essential. But fundamentally, they're uninteresting to the game, because it's unlikely those are going to be the contested positions that are fought over, right? I mean, maybe you could get a drop over there or something, but as we continue to develop in this game, we really want to watch those 2 side bases. If one player can get both of them, they're basically just going to win in a macro game.
That's very true. If you really get into that split map scenario, those are the fringe bases that truly do have questions about them. Now each side is taking their 3rd base. Light built his on location, and you can see this is the type of move I was talking about before. If you try to take up here, they just bring more than you have and siege it up and kill it really, really fast. So kind of a tough thing there for C. Like he loses 2 tanks. They don't end up doing anything, and now suddenly Light has the high ground there. That's uncomfortable. Light is like already winning. It's
kind of cool because yeah. Sorry, man.
No, it's fine.
I just gonna say, like, you know, you can see that there's a little bit of fight over the territory, but not as much commitment to it. Although, as I say that, we have the 9 o'clock spot. So he's gonna try to gobble that one up.
Well, that's really funny, because he's thinking exactly what you were talking about, where, you know, 3 and 9 are the important ones. So he's like, oh, you took 3? Okay, I'm taking 9 right now. But C is double expanding off 3 factories. He's leaving himself open to Light having some sort of timing to kill him. Like, I'm looking at this game right now, and if I know Light, he's playing this theoretically correctly. He's going up to 7 factories on 3 bases. And this is going to give him a gigantic unit lead in a minute or 2 here.
You want to be watching the dropships too here. You know, if dropships can get anywhere, whether that's to just drop in the middle of the map to open that up or to break into one of these positions, that's going to be really important. Light's going to be pushing down here, and he does take out one of these tanks, so this is very clearly going to be Light dominated here. 3 o'clock. I don't think he wants to push further than this, but this is going to give him an easy position to set up, throw a command center down. And speaking of which, look at how many more command centers there are being made right now. There are 3 extra command centers in this game for C.
Yeah.
Light has not mass expanded. He's controlling positions. He's not sucking up resources from them. So if I'm seeing this correctly, there should be a moment where Light is going to have a bigger army for a small period of time and be able to lash out and see on the map. But if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't pull that off, if Light is a little bit slow to try to take control of this game, C is going to catapult ahead with an income.
Yeah, that's C's whole strat here, is to like just mass up his SCVs, get like every base on his side of the map immediately. But like I said, you know, you're doing this off of 3 factories. That's scary. You can see Light right now is up 20 supply. He's got a lot of factories. And the thing is, like, now that he's got his production going, you will see Light take his whole side of the map. That will occur, but he's already got his production, whereas C this entire time is just on 3 factory siege tank.
It's kind of a cool way to play here
God.
from C. I like it.
Dude,
wow, he's gonna go right into BCs.
That's hilarious.
This is early.
Yeah,
That's crazy. You never get BCs this soon.
dude, this is like a ladder match that I'm watching right now. Like C is playing the most greedy game ever, and he's saying, "Screw it, man! It's hard to break C shank lines. You kill me, or I'm gonna win." And so,
no hungry hippos.
Yeah,
this is greedy hippos, man.
Dude, greedy and hungry and teching all at the same time. He's a Protoss player. Oh my God. Now, Light is attacking over at 9 o'clock. He's got to keep the pressure on. He sees what's going on, and he can't let C get all these bases and go BC. Like, that just, you instantly lose if you allow that to occur. And you can see how he's starting to attack. Dude, like, I don't think C has enough units to hold all these positions. This is why you don't do this. This is why you go 7 factory on 3 base.
This is a really sneaky way to approach the game, but the fundamental build that Light has will let him probably beat this. He's already wiped out the 9 o'clock position. The middle of the map is not looking that beefy. The fact that he's going for Battlecruisers 2 means that he's, any tanks that are killed off, he's not going to recover as quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see him actually, I should say Light actually move through and probably push and start to wipe these positions out. Normally we see starports for the battlecruisers thrown down after both sides have basically cemented their positions. No longer makes sense to try to just mass drop everywhere or push with tanks. And your resources start to really pile up. And so then you go for battlecruisers. But while he's in the middle of teching these battlecruisers, he could very well just lose this game.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't mind the strategy C has brought here because no one ever does this. And in theory, it shouldn't work, but in practice, it may. The one thing I need to point out is I think he just was a bit too greedy, like taking 9 o'clock. If instead he had put those tanks back in a more defensive position at other bases, I could see this working out really well because battlecruisers are the thing that actually breaks bases. So why is he taking half the map? Let Light take that and then kill it.
Yeah, now this drop is going to come in here. I think that C can probably cut this off. Keep in mind, Light is about to be maxed out. C has been hovering between 130 to 150 supply. And look, even though he deals with that drop in the main, you can see the push in the middle of the map is too good. C has completely lost control of this game.
He doesn't have...
this is wild. How
he has so few units.
You ever see? Yeah, I mean, one Terran have this much freedom to move around the map, go wherever he sees fit. This is crazy.
Yeah, Light has some serious map control right now, and he is moving up. He's going to be able to kill off 12. Good thing he couldn't get to the main. I think we have 2 battlecruisers on the way, which could clear something like that. If C can hold top right, the 2 bases in the top right and the 2 bases in the top left, there is potential to retake 12 o'clock with the battlecruisers and tanks, and then retake 9 o'clock and play a long game.
This is... when you've lost this much of the map, and this isn't a map where, like, a normal battlecruiser game where a lot of it's mined out and there's a lot to fight over, I think even if he gets enough battlecruisers, they're going to be too slow to go anywhere and take care of everything.
Yeah, it'll have to be like a
2
really...
out now, he's going to have 6 later.
It'll have to be a really prolonged game, right? Like, I feel like that's the only way, but Light is making starports in the bottom left. So he might just be able to, make his own battlecruisers and win that way, too. But Light continues to deal damage. He's killed a ton of SCVs. You can see C is really struggling for gas right now.
I have never seen a game where a position is this bad. A game where it looked like it was kind of even. It really shows you the decision-making from C. I mean, there is some logic to it, but it's not going to work against a style that's just very, very solid. Like we have here with Light. There it is, GG. He just taps it.